My name is Marcell Hansen, and you're listening to Small Habits, Big Changes. Let's dive in. Welcome to today's episode. Thanks so much for joining and for your time, your most valuable asset. I will do everything in my power to ensure that you can access a gold nugget out of today's and every episode forthcoming. Today, I want to share about, let me say this. We had an episode a number of weeks ago that touched on perspective versus perception. It has come to my attention as of late in a dramatic fashion with a person that's in my life a little bit on the periphery, someone that I saw pretty regularly for the last few years. And then when their mental fitness started to decline, saw them less often, but really enjoyed our exchanges. Again, kind of know him through a friend. And so usually we're interacting in a group-like setting. It's come to my attention just in the last, couple months, and more so just the last couple weeks, on the forefront that he's really struggling, like mentally, psychologically. And it's interesting as an observer of that, seeing people who have worked really hard to get to where they are. Some of them have gone through, I'm thinking of 2 or 3 other people as well, some going through hardships, family, like really strong blood family issues, addictions, drugs, alcohol, living on the street, homelessness, in and out of incarceration. So these people that I'm thinking of, like, oftentimes what gets them turned around is an isolated time of exposure to certain messages. I think of it like, I don't know who said this, but there was a question posed to someone that said, you got 2 wolves that basically, are hungry, innately hungry. Which one of them is going to survive? And the simple answer to that is the one that you feed. That's the one that will survive, and it will thrive, and you will have a relationship with that wolf, and you get to choose which one you feed. But be careful, because just like any domestic animal, intermittent reinforcement kicking in, if you feed one once, it's going to come back again, thinking that the possibility of it being fed again could happen. It's called intermittent reinforcement. It's a large psychological reason why people play slot machines. They know that it must go off at some point. And slot machines, the algorithm is to tease someone. And there are lots of smaller wins. You win $6, after you've pumped in 10. You feel like you won. You're really still down $4, but you feel like you won. So you keep pumping, right? Don't even do that anymore. You don't even put an actual dollar or an actual quarter in the machine. You put like cards. There's not very many levers left. It's mostly pushing of a button. So people can do it faster and faster and in more different ways. That little bit of reinforcement is what drives continuance. So if you're feeding the wolf's going to come back and want more food, knows where it's going to get fed. So the 2 wolves that you have, and this is a mental metaphor, is the good wolf and the bad wolf. And you could say the optimistic wolf or the pessimistic wolf. You could say the go-getter wolf or the lazy wolf, however it is. But most of the time it's boiled down to the good or the bad. So if you are feeding the bad wolf, it's the bad, or I'm not really a fan of that word. It's the unhealthy, it's the unproductive, negative thinking that feeds it, versus the good wolf, which is more positive, more can-do, more optimistic, more maybe even practical realism on the positive side. So you get to choose which one you feed. And what I have found is many people not struggling with some of the issues that I shared earlier, homelessness, alcoholism, family issues, etc., Aside from that group of individuals, I think most people feed both wolves. And it's a dangerous game because life is full of ups and downs and highs and lows. And if you have been feeding that bad wolf in the times of low, they could really get you low, right? Along with isolation can be really dangerous and put yourself at risk. And I think that's what I noticed about these few individuals that are really struggling with the reality that they have created is that they have fed this bad wolf over and over and over again to the point where the good wolf has kind of either dwindled away and maybe went to find food elsewhere or really is not very present. And if they are around supportive people, that support may be very fleeting, very difficult for those of you out there who have tried to help a friend or a loved one who's struggling. You know, you want to help them and your presence is helpful, but it's very fleeting because when you leave them, they go right back to like the dungeon of their mindset. And I think it's really tough on people who choose to isolate and are more recluse. And certainly after a couple of years of a pandemic, people have somewhat grown accustomed to being more in isolation. I think it's really dangerous. We are a social being. And so spending time with others is part of that lifting up process, and self soothing and self support and self care is of the utmost. And I think that comes a lot easier when you have developed really healthy habits. And my stable table, that's what that's about, is creating rituals around your hydration, around your daily movement, hourly movement, around your nutritious meals and where they're sourced and how they're consumed and when they're consumed, and quality sleep. These things allow you to feel safe within your body. They calm the autonomic nervous system. And when you encounter potentially unpleasant things out in the world, which certainly do happen to many people, you can take that and let it go a lot easier if you are taking care of yourself. And part of that, outside of my stable table and the 4 physical wellness pillars, is your mindset. And feeding that good wolf is part of that mindset. And so people can knock affirmations and people can knock incantations and make fun of people that have post-it notes up to remind them that they love themselves or that they look great or that they feel great or that X, Y, and Z. But the truth is, those things can be very helpful at a certain introductory time and maybe in a re-entry time into a positive mindset. You won't need them forever, and they don't work for everyone because some people just want to feed the bad wolf regardless of who's around them. And to that I say, have at her. Just don't be in my path. And for those that are struggling to feed the good wolf, then it's imperative that you surround yourself with people who have a healthy mindset and are mentally fit, that you surround yourself with content, podcasts, books that you're reading that are supportive. Cut the drama. Don't watch the news. Don't get scrolling down the wormhole of YouTube or Instagram. Focus on things that bring value and growth to you. I don't really experience or conduct a lot of negative self-talk. It was something that was trained out of me through a program that I went through in college, in the early 90s. And I was studying a profession where I just could not, I was already doing a dual task and could not take in any real self-talk. So that stinky committee, as my professor, Shannon, named it, got fired. And I just never really brought it back. And it has worked wonders for me. And it has also been a struggle to understand how other people live in a really negative, sort of toxic cycle of how they're talking to themselves, how they think about themselves, how they express themselves, and thus maybe even attracting other people who are self-deprecating in a similar way. I think that at the end of the day is a choice, and the difference that can be made when you choose to feed that good wolf, and not just feed it once in a while when it comes, begging for food, but to feed it and ensure that it's strong and toned and it's healthy, and to develop something almost automatic that doesn't have to be thought about, that is just a an operating system, if you will, is really powerful because there's no wasted energy. There's no wasted opportunity, really. So consider this week while you're out, when you go to say something to someone else, think about what informed that statement or that judgment. If you're talking to yourself, you notice that you're feeding bad wolf, correct yourself. You can stop right there and say, nope, that food is allocated for my good wolf. And give yourself positive, uplifting, optimistic thoughts, and even a script that you can run through. That's where mantras come in, prayers come in, incantations come in. Remember that you are at choice, whether you're feeding that bad wolf or that good wolf. And which one you choose to feed affects every single action that you take, and it will affect every single thing that you say. There's so many quotes out there about, I thinketh, therefore I am. And this is where those apply. It's that what's going on upstairs always affects everything. How you feel, how you act, what you say, how you say it, and the things you do. All of those things are predicated on what's going on up here, what you're thinking about, what's your ruminating thought. That's where, if you have a very busy mind and you think you're jumping from idea to idea, meditation or stillness or focus on your breath or create a gratitude journal. These are ways that you can get out of that rumination. Journaling works for a lot of people. Again, sitting in peaceful environment, might be nature, might just be sitting in a comfortable chair, focusing on your breath, focusing on your blessings, what you're grateful for. These actions take you out of that spiraling rumination. So try those on, and they have far better efficacy rates and no negative side effects. And in that book, as a net positive, they beat the pants off of any pharmaceutical. So I think the universe equipped us with all of the tools that we need to either be successful or to learn to be successful. Curiosity is a big one, but this mindset is huge, very impactful. So give it some thought this week and see, before you act or say something, what wolf are you feeding? Can you catch yourself, maybe even after you've just said it, and reframe it? Maybe even before you say it and reframe it? Give it a try. Let me know how you get on. You can leave a comment down below if it's available to you. You can sign up for our free texting community. That number and info's on the outro. And again, if you found any interest in this, if it's something that you think, I want to be accountable to this and have a framework, a conversation with someone that you love, a friend, a family member, maybe a colleague, you want to be on the same page with them, and this is something you guys do, is maybe trade or share podcast links with one another, then please do forward it to a friend or a loved one. And then it gives you a framework that the two of you can start a conversation and hold a conversation around. I hope for this week that you have intention and focus around my stable table, that you stay hydrated, that you're moving every hour of the day, that you're up, that you are eating well, nutritious meals, and that you have the most amazing quality sleep. Enjoy, and until next time, stay strong. Thank you so much for listening today. If you feel any part of this episode resonated with you, then please consider sharing it with a friend who may also find value in it. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And before you go, did you know we have a fantastic free text community? If you want more bite-sized health hacks and reminders delivered directly to your phone, absolutely free, then text keyword YES to 206-483-2960. Again, that's keyword YES to 206-483-2960. And we'll see you on the inside.